Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
It's government shutdown day 13. I'm Tom Hansen with a look at whether we'll be closer or further from a resolution today, the day Democrats take over the House.
And closer to home, a plane flying out of Bozeman crashes south of Townsend last night. Coming up, the condition of those on board and what the Broadwater County Sheriff said at the scene.
Good morning to you. It is 6:30 here on your Thursday. I'm Missy O'Malley with Chet Lehman. Matt Elwell will have our Thursday forecast here in just a moment. Our top story for you now, Democrats take control of the House of Representatives today. The first time they've held the majority in either the Chamber of Congress since 2015.
Today is also day 13 of the partial government shutdown, and the Democrats are expected to introduce legislation to end it. CBS's Tom Hansen is in New York, and why the plan isn't expected to go very far.
In one of her first acts in power when Democrats take control of the House today, presumptive Speaker Nancy Pelosi plans to pass legislation to reopen the government.
We have given the Republicans a chance to take yes for an answer.
One of the bills funds the Department of Homeland Security until early February, giving lawmakers time to negotiate the border wall. Republicans call it a political sideshow.
The Senate will not waste its time considering a Democratic bill which cannot pass this chamber and which the President will not sign.
President Trump says he's willing to keep the partial government shutdown going to get his $5 billion.
Could be a long time. It's too important a subject to walk away from.
Congressional leaders from both parties met with the president Wednesday in the White House Situation Room.
I said, Mr. President, give me one good reason why you should continue your shutdown while we are debating our differences on Homeland Security. He could not give a good answer.
A source tells CBS News that when President Trump was asked why he wouldn't support the House bills to reopen the government while the two sides debate the wall, he replied, quote, "I would look foolish if I did that."
If you're furloughed, look for a second job.
As the shutdown continues, hundreds of thousands of federal employees are not getting paid.
Well, the longer it goes, obviously you have to prioritize certain things, feeding your family, the gas to get to work, potentially heating your home.
President Trump has invited the leaders back to the White House on Friday. Tom Hansen, CBS News.
Now, a White House spokesperson said last night that it may be easier to continue discussions after Pelosi is officially elected as Speaker of the House. So
We'll see what happens today.
more to follow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Matt joins us now. What a windy day for some and not so bad for others.
Yeah, it kind of depends on where you are, where we're seeing the strongest winds. Areas like Dillon and West Ennis dealing with 15 to 25 mile-an-hour winds for the most part, 55 mile-an-hour sustained winds and gusts in Livingston. So those stronger winds continue to blow through here. Temperatures this morning, teens and 20s. I think by the afternoon, we're talking mid to upper 30s for most of us. If you're planning your day, don't look for a big change in our forecast. Wind speeds will be picking up, though. We'll talk more about your complete forecast from the Billion Auto Weather Patio coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Here's a story for you. Two people are in critical condition after a small plane crash outside of Townsend.
Broadwater County Sheriff Wynn Meehan told MTN that a small plane out of Bozeman carrying two men crashed into a creek bank about 2 miles south of Townsend between the Missouri River and Highway 287. Both occupants were conscious and speaking when authorities arrived shortly after 6 last night, and they were taken by medical helicopter. Sheriff Meehan said given the low temperatures and lack of light, first responders were fortunate to have reached the men as quickly as they did.
And so it's cold, it's not frigid. You know, it's still cold though, and when you got injuries, you know, that just compounds it. So for them to be in the condition they are and not be a number, you know, I think it's a large blessing.
Boy, that is for sure. The men's identities have not yet been released, and Sheriff Meehan said they are waiting for the Federal Aviation Administration before taking any further action. That plane also cut a power line, knocking out electricity to an area of about 135 Northwestern Energy customers.
Wow. And as many of you know, Gallatin County is the fastest growing small county in America. But the growing population is definitely having an impact on the crime rate. MTN's Badaris Babb takes a closer look.
With the growth of Gallatin County, law enforcement definitely isn't seeing a shortage of work. In fact, Sheriff Brian Gutkin said within the last year, there's been a 50% increase in calls.
We're busier than ever. There's no question about it, just because of the growth and what's happened here. Last year was really unique because we were down 8 deputies on light duty at one point. So it was a tough year for our folks, but detectives are busier than ever. And it's sort of alarming, some of the cases that they're working on and the volume that's gone up.
One of the cases worked on was the homicide in Belgrade last January. Gutkin said this investigation and the 50% increase in domestic dispute cases led to the county commissioners adding 3 new positions for the sheriff's office.
Those types of cases take a ton of time, take a lot of effort, and you know, thanks to the county commission, they added a detective position last year, or this budget year. And we're still trying to get that filled, but we're busier than ever.
Besides the detective, 2 patrol deputy positions were also added.
You know, so we get pulled in a bunch of different directions, and so they did help us last year, and we're going to focus on trying to get those people hired and up and running.
The positions have not been filled yet, but Gutkin hopes that this will help the demand that his office is seeing. In Bozeman, Medeiros Babb, MTN News.
Now, Gutkin says the increase in crime is a part of the reason that the jail has an average of 150 inmates a day.
In a related story, police in Butte made more arrests in 2018, but responded to fewer calls than the year before. MTN's John Amy tells us what kind of year law enforcement had and what they have planned for this year.
Butte police responded to about 400 less calls in 2018 than in 2017, which had about 33,600 calls for service. Despite the drop, police are still busy.
Over 33,000 calls for service a year, which we're running roughly 30 patrol officers to answer those 33,000 calls a year. So they're running pretty hard.
Still, police made about 280 more arrests in 2018 than the prior year. But investigators in Butte had very few major crimes over that time.
A major crime, I believe, was down slightly. So it went good. It went good. I think we're getting out and touching the community a little more than we have in the past.
While crime statistics are still being compiled, Butte police suspect drunken driving offenses are dropping. They only made 3 DUI arrests over the New Year's holiday.
That's been a trend over the past couple of years where they have been on a slight downward trend, which is good. You know, we'd love to see 0 DUIs, but between education and enforcement, I think the DUIs are starting to drop.
One issue Butte law enforcement hopes to address in the new year is overcrowding at its detention center. At one time last year, this facility had more than 120 inmates in it. It was designed to hold just over 70.
We've got a couple new judges, Judge McCarthy and Judge Pesdark, that handle a lot of the misdemeanor type cases. So if we can work with them and see if we can do something with their jail population, that's one of our biggest concerns right now.
The undersheriff hopes the state will address overcrowding in the state prison system, which could free up space in the local jail. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Officials also noted that there were no reported homicides in Butte in 2018.
And it's almost 2 years until Montana's next gubernatorial election in 2020. But yesterday, Secretary of State Corey Stapleton announced that he will be running for what would be an open seat, becoming the first prominent Republican in the race. The 51-year-old Stapleton is a former state senator from Billings who was elected Secretary of State in 2016. He ran unsuccessfully for governor in 2012 and for U.S. House in 2014, losing both times for the Republican primary. Stapleton says he'd like to help guide Montana towards being a state with stronger families, higher wages, lower taxes, and smaller government.
I am someone absolutely who's enjoyed Democratic support, independent support, libertarian support, constitutionalist support. And so I want to serve everyone, but I think most importantly, I want to set a vision and show people what I would like to accomplish with their support in their vote, and then get to work with the legislature on it.
Now, another Republican, Attorney General Tim Fox, has said that he's considering a run for governor in 2020 as well. And sources tell MTN News that Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte is giving the race a look as well. As of yet, no Democrat has stepped forward as a 2020 candidate for governor.
I will not be running on either party, by the way. There are several homes in Bozeman and Belgrade that are for sale for $1. But there is a catch. Whoever buys the homes must move it to another piece of land. Big Sky Property Management, owned by Town Pump, owns this home on Huffine. The company has not said what it plans to use the land for, but did say the firm does not need the house. Director of Town Pump Communications, Bill McGladdery, says as long as the company gets clearance, there will also be 3 homes in Butte for sale for $1, so the company can develop more land.
We wanted to just clear the property, and we felt that this house had value to be recycled rather than ending up in the landfill.
DLM Contracting said depending on where the home is going and if power lines must be moved, it could cost anywhere between $50,000 and $80,000 to move the $1 home.
$80,000 house.
That's it.
But still a lot cheaper than most places.
That's a fact. Just
around
walk up
the
to the
area.
deli counter and get one with your soda. That's how that works.
We do have to take a quick break. Here's a little sneak peek of what's ahead of Montana this morning as well as CBS this morning.
This is Matt Green, and he's made it his mission to walk every block in New York City. Today, we're joining him for a walk. I'm Kenneth Craig. I'll have his story coming up.
Good morning, and ahead here and only on CBS this morning, get a rare look inside a power plant that uses artificial intelligence and see how it's trying to stop potential cyber attacks. And we'll take you into the 275 square mile geological wonder that is the White Sands National Monument. Learn about the push to make it America's next national park. See you at 7.